Hi, welcome to lesson 14-2, graph data using ordered pairs. Please go ahead and write your lesson title in your math journal along with your I can statement. Our I can statement for today says, I can graph points on a coordinate grid. When you're finished writing those down, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of our lesson. So yesterday was the introduction lesson to graphing on a coordinate grid and kind of what a coordinate grid was. So today we're actually going to be graphing some points for our problem. I know yesterday you had a lot of vocabulary in the lesson, kind of learning about the X and the Y axis. So let's take a look at our problem for today. We are going to graph and label, get my pen working here for us, the point for each ordered pair on the given grid. So then we're going to connect the points with a line so that we're going to form a shape. And then we have to say what shape we drew. So these are our ordered pairs over here that are labeled A, B, C, and D. And we're going to put them on this coordinate grid. So when you're working this, the most important thing to remember is which number is going to be graphed on the x-axis and which one is going to be graphed on the y. Remember, when you have an ordered pair, the first number is graphed on the x because x comes before y in the alphabet, and the next one is y. So I'm going to give you that little piece of information before you try it on your own. Please press pause, try it, and then press play, and we will go through the answer together. Okay, so it's time to look at our solution. So I am first going to look at point A that I'm going to graph, and it is ordered pair 2, 1. So I always kind of start here at my 0, and I go, okay, my 2 has to be graphed on the x-axis. So I'm going to move here 2 places. And then I have to go up on my y-axis 1 point. And I'm going to make that dot, that point, right where those lines intersect. I don't want it to be in the middle, floating around there in space. It's got to be right at that intersection point. So this is going to be point A. And my direction said I needed to label that. So now I'm going to look at my ordered pair for point B. Again, I'm going to start at my origin of 0. I know that first number, I have to move that far on the x-axis, so I'm going to go over 5 places. And then on the y-axis, I'm going to go up 1. And again, I'm going to put that point right where the 2 lines intersect, and I'm going to label that point B. Now as I move on to point C, again, I'm going to start at the origin spot of my 0, and I'm going to go over 5 and then up the x-axis to 4. And I'm going to put my point there and label it point C. And then now I'm going to look at my point D. So I'm going to again start at my origin of 0. I'm going to go over on the x-axis 2 places, and then I'm moving up on the y-axis 4 places. I'm going to label that D. Now when I connect these, I am going to get a square. My sides are all the same length. So what shape did we draw? We drew a square. And we're going to talk in some of the student sample work, you might have labeled that something different than a square, thinking back to our geometry unit. So let's take a look how some other students solve this. And we're going to look at Ashley's work first. So she drew a square. She also wrote in here, which is also can be considered a rectangle or a rhombus. So she really used her geometry knowledge when she was assigning a name to that geometric shape we made with our coordinate grids. So she placed them correctly on the coordinate grid and did a great job with that. Look at the next student's work. They also have their square shape and everything is plotted correctly on the coordinate grid. It is a square as well, and they labeled it a square. The only thing they did not do was they did not label their points A, B, C, and D. So that's a reminder to make sure that we answer all parts of the question. Again, coordinate grids are pretty fun. And I know Mrs. Tim talked about in yesterday's lesson, there's lots of great online fun coordinate grid games to play out there. So if you'd like some more practice, definitely search those out. So what you need to do now is you just need to write a short little summary, like if you were giving directions of how to complete this. So you need to write about how you know where the X and the Y axis goes. That's the most common mistake kids make when they're working with coordinate grids is they mix those up and they end up plotting their points not in the correct place. So make sure you write about that. Break it apart into all the steps so if someone read it, they would know how to graph on a coordinate grid.